being affected by disabilities each year, and according to the World Health Organization, it's because of the aging of the population and increase of chronic diseases. Speakers can be impactful to many people. Anyone can become a speaker, and Judith Heumann represents this mindset. Judith Heumann impacted her audience and TED Talk listeners with her speech, Our Fight for Disability Rights. She shared her struggles with her disability and how she fought and still fights for her rights day in and day out. Judith Heumann was born on December 18, 1947 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She contracted polio at 18 months old in 1949, and she started to see signs of discrimination when she was just 5 years old. Judith is now a disability rights activist around the world. Judith's speech was posted onto YouTube on January 10th, 2017. She gave her speech at the TEDx Mid-Atlantic conference, where it was locally organized by her community. And then I'll just play you part of the speech.
I have visited institutions where the stench of urine is so strong that before you open the door of your vehicle, you're kind of pushed back. And then gone into those institutions where people should be living in the community with appropriate supports and seen people almost naked, people who are chemically drugged, and people who are living lives of despair. These are some of the things that the U.S. needs to be doing more to correct. We know discrimination when we see it, and we need to be fighting it together. So what is it that we can be doing together? I encourage you all to recognize that disability is a family you can join at any point in your life. How many of you have ever broken a bone? And then I'd like, when you leave today, to maybe write a couple of sentences about what that period of time has been like for you. Because frequently I hear from people, you know, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. People talked to me differently, they acted differently towards me. And that's what I see and other disabled people see in flashing letters. There are about 1 billion people with disabilities. That's the size of China. But we, you in this room, together, we can make a difference. Together, we can speak up for justice. Together, we can help change the world. Thank you. I have to go catch.
The purpose of Judith's speech was to inform her audience, as well as those who watched the video, on the little to no rights people with disabilities have around the world. She wanted to inform her viewers on the challenges people with disabilities face and what their day-to-day life is like. Significance to then and now. Heumann's impact as an advocate in the years leading up to her speech helped shape and mold her into the speaker we see today. Judith was denied her ability to become a teacher because of her disability. However, she was able to get her teaching license after fighting for her rights in court. She was also a leader of the disability rights movement, and she led a protest in front of President Nixon's office before he was voted as president because he vetoed the Rehabilitation Act, which provided a range of services for individuals with physical and cognitive disabilities. And then today. Even though Judith gave her speech in 2017, her speech impacts listeners both then and now. Many countries around the world still mistreat individuals with disabilities. Heumann mentions in her speech that many people with disabilities around the world desire a life with rights like the individuals with disabilities in the United States. For example, people with disabilities in other countries get jobs and they are told they do not have to come into work there are institutions where people with disabilities are mistreated and malnourished. I believe that this speech will endure. Although this speech isn't a well-known speech, I believe it will give future listeners the ability to see life through someone else's eyes and give them insight on the disability rights movement. Judith uses ethos, pathos, and logos in her speech. She uses evidence of her credibility as an advocate when she says, in 1972, President Nixon vetoed the Rehabilitation Act. We protested, he signed it. She uses pathos and logos as well. There are about 1 billion people in the world with disabilities. That's the size of China. And then when I was 18 months old, I had polio and one of the last epidemics in the United States. She also uses rhetorical devices throughout her speech. She uses an allusion when she says, we wanted a public debate on television about why he had vetoed a particular piece of legislation. She is alluding to the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. And then she uses anaphora when she says, together we can make a difference, together we can speak up for justice, and together we can help change the world. She uses the phrase, together we can, to drive home her point about the impact people can make around the world. The speech, Our Fight for Disability Rights by Judith Heumann was an inspirational speech about the rights of individuals with disabilities. Heumann used her own experiences to show how people with disabilities live day in and day out, and spoke about her role as an advocate for those with disabilities. Thank you for listening to my speech.